channel, and today, excuse my voice, I'm a little sick, I'm just getting over it, but today I wanted to show you how I depotted some of my palettes. I actually depotted 6 palettes altogether. I depotted 3 of my Anastasia palettes, the Catwalk, the Amerzy, and the Tamanna palette. I know you guys are probably thinking, you're crazy, because those are gorgeous palettes, but I like them all depotted and being in one Z palette. So, as you saw in my Cyber Monday haul, I got the Z palette, the extra large. Love these, and the extra large is everything I need in my life. I actually depotted 3 Too Faced palettes as well, the Natural Eyes, the All Matte, and also my Chocolate Bar palette. So here they all are. As you can see, the Chocolate Bar I had the most difficulty with the Chocolate Bar palette. It's in a magnetic tin, so it was really difficult to get these ones out. So some of them took a beating, a real beating. But that's alright because I have plenty of eyeshadows. I'm never going to run out of them. So I don't mind if they're messed up. But my Chocolate Bar palette, it actually, like, the lid broke off of the case. And I never used it because of that. And I figured might as well depot it. Keep it where I keep all my other eyeshadows. That way I actually do use them. Now, not all of them fit in just the extra large palette. I did put them in a large palette. And the ones that I put in here are actually ones that I don't use on an everyday. But they're there just in case I do want to use them. And I'm so happy that I did this because, first of all, if you can't afford the Anastasia single eyeshadows, here you go. You already have a lot of them if you have these palettes, right? So just go ahead and depot them and just put them all together and bam, there you go. You got your own palette of your single eyeshadows. I like that they're all together because now I will use them on an everyday basis. Other than when they were in the palette, if I didn't have the palette right in front of me, I wouldn't use it. First, I'm going to show you how to depot the Anastasia palettes. They're really simple. Then I will show you how to depot the Natural Eyes and the matte palette. And then the Too Faced palette will be last because that was just spur of the moment. I'm going to depot this. That was really tricky and difficult. So if you're not into the difficult, you can skip that one. But now that, like I said, now that I have these all together, I'm using them on an everyday. So you'll just need a few items. I will show you what you will need. So if you're interested on how to depot your palettes, just keep on watching. So first, you're going to need some rubbing alcohol. Mine's 91% alcohol. That way you know it disinfects anything too. You're going to need a depotting knife and a syringe or some type of dropper. And of course, your palette. So here is my Anastasia palette. First, I wanted to test out if it was easier to just put the alcohol around the eyeshadow to loosen the glue up, or if it was just easier to just dig it out by itself without any alcohol. Either way was fine. Without the alcohol melting and, messing with the glue, it was just a tad bit harder. So I do suggest using the alcohol. Now, if you don't have alcohol, you can still achieve depotting the palettes and not messing up your eyeshadows. None of my eyeshadows on the Anastasia palette broke at all, so really just take your time. I really feel like with the Catwalk palette, they are pretty loose in the palette itself. Like, there's a little bit of spacing on the edges of each shadow, so you can really just get your knife right in there and pull them out. So here it is with the alcohol in it, and I really felt like it was just, it saved me maybe 5 seconds per eyeshadow with the alcohol. After you've depotted it, put some alcohol on the back of the eyeshadows and rub off any extra glue. You can use your knife if you want to, but I just felt like using my nails was just a little bit faster, and it got a lot more of the glue off than the depotting knife. Now, placing them in the Z palette is really up to you. I placed it really from lightest to darkest, my preference. You can do it from how they're placed in the palette or whatever you like. Now I'm going to move on to the Tamanna palette and the Amerzy palette. So with this, I just decided to go ahead and place the alcohol around each shadow, because with these palettes, the shadows are closer packed into the palette, if you know what I'm saying. Like, there's not a lot of room for the depotting knife to get in between the palette and the shadow. So using the alcohol helps tear up the glue and was easier to depot the palettes. Okay, so here's the last shadow. Bam, that one's done. Place them in the Z palette however you like. And I'm just going to jump into the Tamanna palette now. So again, I just did it from lightest to darkest, and I like that they're all like that because all my lighter shades are together, all my transitional shades are together. But now for the Too Faced palettes, the neutral and matte eye, I did it two different ways. But first, I always did use the alcohol to loosen up the glue just in case, because I wasn't sure how these were going to depot. Now with the neutral, or no, this is the matte palette, I tried to break up the palette just to see if that would be any different. That was pretty simple, and I tried to see if, I could just wiggle them out by removing that top piece, but that wasn't the case. So here I'm going to go ahead and just use the alcohol to help loosen up the glue, and these were actually pretty easy to deposit. And then with the other palette, I didn't even rip off the top part of it. It was still easy to depot it as is. So originally I only had a large Z palette and not all of them fit. And I went ahead and got the extra large palette so that they all would fit. And I just took out the ones that I didn't like, and like I said in the intro. Now on for the chocolate bar palette. This one was the most difficult one because it's tin, it's magnetic. It was a little bit hard to break off the case, or I couldn't even break off the case originally, but it was really hard. I tried to see if I could pop it out of the original casing. These shadows took a beating, for sure. They took a beating. They really did. My bad. But you know what? They still work the same way. So if you don't like difficult projects, I wouldn't recommend doing this one, depotting this one, because it was, some of them like didn't budge, and I wanted to cry at some points when I was taking it out. But yeah, this one was definitely hard and took a beating. So I was a little scared with taking out these bigger ones, but they were actually pretty easy and didn't get damaged that badly. Now this one gave me a hard time, and this one gave me a hard time. It actually snapped in half while I was trying to take it out. That's how difficult this was. So here's the final product in the extra large C palette. I love it. I use these shadows all the time now since they're all together. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe.